Hello friends, I just wanted to quickly jump on at the beginning of this episode. This is another very special one, but if you want some extra bits of Nikki, wait to the very end to see what she added. It's really special. Enjoy. Welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast. I'm Jo Hendy from the Sacred Sister Project.
I'm Amanda Parker from Mayella Organics.
Together each week we will share a vulnerable, open and honest podcast about the awakening process in all of its sacredness.
Good afternoon.
Yes,
hey.
Good afternoon. Episode 9?
Yes.
10.
I think it's 10.
I think it's 10 too.
Lucky number 10.
Yay.
Welcome, Nikki Symons, our beautiful guest this afternoon.
Yes.
So lovely to have you here, Nikki.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, yeah. Wow. This is really exciting because we've been talking to Nikki and Nikki brought us a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
A spell.
A spell jar, yes.
A spell jar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has led us into a whole conversation around
The White Witch.
The White Witch. The White Witch.
Named Nikki the White Witch.
Yes, yeah, and we're going to go with that. But Nikki is trained as a traditional kinesiologist, a soul healer, an interdimensional energy healer, and a light worker. So in remembering her essence, Nikki has moved from being a traditional kinesiologist to work on different timelines. I'm going to say that again, to work on different timelines. Downloaded from spirit, deep and powerful soul healing, soul retrieval. And in working as an interdimensional healer, she is here to assist all of us in the path to ascension. And there's a whole narrative around what that means that's going to come up later, isn't
Absolutely. Nikki will definitely go deeper into what all this means.
Yes, we'll explore that.
Yeah, we'll explore that most definitely.
When it comes up.
It's very interesting and it's so on point to where everything's moving at the moment and evolving. And
so on point. Yeah. And so much to the point of like Nikki's website is a path to wellness. But on her path to wellness, she's felt the move to a path to oneness.
Yes.
Which really feels so powerful and so strong. So, let's move into Nikki.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so lovely having you here. And we're just going to jump straight in and ask you, where did your awakening begin, and how did it begin?
Yeah, so awakening. Hey, there should be a movie. Is there a movie out there yet with the awakening? There has to be.
Well, that's such a. I don't know.
We might be the creators of that.
I think that feels good.
Yeah, so I was thinking that on the way here. It's like, where's the movie? Awakening. Yes. So my full big awakening happened when I was 40, but I know that when I was young, I used to have lots of premonitions, and they would always come true. So there's always something there. Yeah. But I never really, thought about it at all. As you do as a kid. But I would have these really strong premonitions, and one of them was so strong. Once I was on a bus going to I used to run cross country for the county. Yeah. And I didn't take my PE kit with me, and I remember not taking it, and for some reason something said, you won't be running. It was just this, I could not see it happening. And I remember the other kids saying, where's your PE kit? And I can't quite remember, I was very young. I must have just said, forgotten it or something. Anyway, the minibus broke down and we didn't run.
There you go.
And so, there was many aspects like that, growing up. But I go back to so when I was 40, and I was doing a massage for somebody, and while I was massaging her, I had this sense that there was something in the room, and this feeling came in. It was a really strong feeling. It kind of came through the chest, and it was like pressure on my chest, and I think it was its way of telling me that it was there. That's now how I know when something's coming through, that is this pressure on the chest. But I also knew that it was a baby boy. And I don't know how I knew. Yeah. I just knew.
Wow.
I couldn't see or hear. It was just, there's a baby boy. It was like someone would put those words in, but I could feel it. And it wanted me to tell the person on the table that it was there.
Yeah.
And I was resisting it.
Yes.
I was just going, shaking my head. And
I'm crazy. Yes. What's it going to mean?
I just
to
went,
them?
there's no way.
Yes.
That would feel so foreign coming out of my mouth. I can't do that. But the client on the table, she could sense that there was, something. So she said, "Oh, you okay, Nikki?" And I went, no. Said, "There's a baby here, and it's a boy, and he wants me to tell you that he's here."
Wow.
And she said, "It's okay, Nikki." She said, "I did lose a baby a couple of weeks ago, and we knew it was a boy." And so for it to happen, it happened to the perfect person. And she said, "Look, Nikki, this is what happens when you start working with energy," because I just started training as a kinesiologist. And she said, "This is what you're going to tap into." And I went home and I told my husband, and I think he said, "Well, that's great. You're going to end up in a nut home." That's all I need. But I remember going home on that journey, and I just went like, okay, whoever's out there, please, what was that? That was, and I did get some messages coming through, and these names came through, and I just knew then I tapped into something.
Wow.
That spiritual side, which has always been a part of me.
Yeah.
So that was like, so I for me, awakening, there's so many, again, different aspects of it, right? There's the awakening. So through what we've just been through the last couple of years, many people have woken up to the truth of what actually really is going on behind the scenes. And that sometimes for some, that's just it. That's the awakening of realizing, okay, things aren't what they seem. But then there's the spiritual side of things where you wake up and you awake to your own soul and your own soul's journey, and that's just so vast in itself. That's not something you can just wake up and know everything. That's the journey that you're then taking with your soul and remembering who you are. And
it can be clear and it can be confusing, can't it?
Yeah, it's the remembering, isn't it?
Remembering who you are, and through that journey, then you're guided then, because you become, it's almost like you're giving permission then to go, okay, to my guides, angels, or whoever, my higher self.
Yes.
This is, I resonate with this. This feels good. Whereas I think some people might have, a remembrance and then shut it down because there may be a trauma in a past life, maybe, or something where it wasn't safe for them. Kids have seen monsters, not safe for them. But for me, I just jumped straight in there because I've always wanted to channel. So that's a journey. And then I think with the awakening, the rabbit holes, I think a lot of people get stuck down there, and they think they're fully awake. But I think then if they were to awaken to the spiritual side of themselves, that will take you away from that. And then you go, okay, I've woken up enough to know what I need to know. And now it's time to step out and allow other people to wake up and use those truths to wake them up.
Yeah. How did you know the difference between the two?
Yes.
Okay, so I knew a long time ago that in my lifetime, I was told, I've seen different texts or heard it somewhere, that the world will go into ascension, and that the timelines would split.
Wow.
In my lifetime.
Yeah.
And so I always had this knowing that at some stage in our life, high vibrational beings or energy could no longer coexist with lower vibrational frequencies.
Okay.
And there would come a time where this dismantling would happen on our earth, and I was really excited about it.
Yeah.
And when I was working at Studio 4 in Tweed, beautiful friend Jodie, who also worked there, she does sound healing, we would cross paths and we would look at each other and just go, "Oh, you're really feeling it today," because we could sense there was something coming through energetically, and we would both feel it. And we both knew that we felt like we were in training for something big that was coming.
Right.
So I found a soul sister there who was on the same path as me.
Yeah.
It's been really affirming to have that person alongside you.
Yes.
Yeah. And just for the listeners too, so they can gain a better understanding of what you're talking about, because there's probably some people that you can
absolutely.
just explain a little bit about what you're talking about when you're talking about the splitting of all of that.
So I didn't really understand either, Jo. Like, I'm not one of these people. I've never been a big thinker or overthinker, and I realise now that's because fifth dimensional frequencies you can't verbalize it, intellectualize it, or even put it into 3D thinking. So the high frequency. So the timeline split. I was like, okay, everything is vibration. So I'll use a marriage as just an example.
Perfect.
Okay, so you've got a marriage where it's just been functioning, but then one of them is a higher vibration. Maybe or let's say the other one is trapped in anger and rage and resentment and guilt and all of that. It's a real low vibrational frequency, whereas the other partner would prefer to just use love and forgiveness. Okay, now they've been functioning like this together, but when the timeline, when the frequencies change, what that means is that's like magnets are opposing, can no longer coexist. Something will have to happen, and the situation will get fierce to make that person go, I can't do this anymore, and break away. So that's the time. So that happens in every aspect of life.
That's such a great analogy. Thank you. That's very powerful.
And so that's happening in all aspects, whether it's relationships, work, places that you live in, friendships, belief systems, venues that you used to go to. It's all that split. If something no longer aligns, you will no longer be drawn there. You just won't want to go.
So this is for anyone and everyone, isn't it? You don't have to be awake, or I suppose there's a small part of you that has to be a little bit aware of what's going on to be able to feel or pick up on this.
Yes.
But it's also happening with just people that are just carrying on with their normal lives. They're feeling something and then unsure of what that is.
Exactly, and especially now, because the frequencies are getting stronger and stronger. So there's actually a graph, the Schumann resonance chart. So that's these frequencies that are coming in, and they talk about the first wavers, people who woke up the first, who were first awake, received all this information and then moved on, and the second wavers. And so now I think the frequencies have got so strong, like you say, even just normal people perhaps don't understand any of this, are new to it, even they're going, it's just doesn't resonate anymore. And I actually love it. I'm getting so many people coming through to my clinic space, my healing space, and they're going, this doesn't make any sense, but I quit my job and now I'm going and I'm picking flowers, and it doesn't make sense, but I feel really good. And that's because people are stopping using their head and their mind, and they're going through life with their heart, because the brain is just so logical, but it's not logical really where you need to go. No.
At a very, very base level, it's just not who we are.
It's not who we are, no. I think our brain, our mind just kind of keep us safe, which means if there's memories of trauma, it's not going to make the right decision. It's just going to keep you safe. So leading with that heart. So that's that. That was what I was told, that timeline split. So when the first lockdown happened, we had just moved into our new house the day before.
The day
before.
I think I might have had a session with you around that same time.
I think you probably did. Yes, around that time. I know. It was interesting. And so for that first day, I went, oh shit, got my first mortgage, and neither my husband and I can work. And I think went to the bottle shop, because I thought that was going to shut down with everything else. So we bought some beers. We don't know how long this is going to be. Got the staples. And then for half a day, it was a bit like, oh, what's going to happen? But then I got this message, from my higher self. The spirit went, no, this is it. And I knew from the deepest part of me, and I have as well, got goosebumps, this is it. And I got really excited and went, it's happening. It's happening. This is it. This is the timeline split. This is the ascension. This is everything that I've been training for. It's happening right now. And my guy said, okay, be prepared, because you're going to be there to support people going through what's going to happen. And I just knew there was going to be upheaval. I knew there was going to be
chaos.
Chaos. But I saw it. I saw it though all as it's meant to be. I just knew that everything that's happening is happening exactly as it's meant to be, and trust that all is safe, all is well, because at the end of that, because I actually had a vision about a year before that, and I was driving along and I got this sense of this feeling that came through, and I went, oh my God, something really amazing is going to happen. I got this excitement, like the most exciting feeling. it's like, wow, okay, this is and I went, oh, okay. But they showed me before that there was this period of density that we're going to move through. But they showed me the end, and I went, okay.
Yeah.
And it looked like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I sensed there was going to be something with 2 years, but the end was this light, bright, and so that I needed to see that, so that as I'm journeying through it, I would go back to that and go, regardless of where I am, what's happening, remember that vision. Remember your premonitions when you were younger. Maybe that's why I had them. So that then gives me that clarity and certainty that it's going to be okay. So I had that vision at the end.
So it's powerful to have that trust in times when, and when people are coming to you to look for answers and look for help and are confused and things as well, to have that stability in your field of knowingness.
And I think that was my purpose through all of that. I knew that I was there to hold that anchor and be the light, and have that trust. And so many people coming through so afraid, and there's me going, oh, it'll be all right. How can you be so sure? I don't know. I just know. But no, understanding. Not mocking them for the way they're feeling, but I just knew, right, through all of that, that it was exciting. But we're all gonna go through the journey together, and it really was, so traumatic for everybody. We all went, really down to rock bottom. They didn't show me that. Show me how bad it was going to be. They just went, there was going to be some density. I'm like, okay, I can handle that. But just to know how deep, it all went.
Absolutely. Insanity.
Yes. But no, coming out. So I think the question you asked me was, how did I know? I feel everything is a feeling, it's just that, and you just have to continue to trust that. And I think just knowing with the premonitions, knowing they've always come true, when I get that feeling, going, okay, they're just telling me again, just to trust. Remember, just trust when you get that feeling and that vision that's going to materialize and come through.
That's so important. And that feeling that you get, is it for all different things? Like, is the feeling different for different things, or is it like, do you just get them for big things that are happening? Planetary? Is it a planetary thing, or is it, can you feel something if it's like with your children or with your partner, or something's going on in that aspect?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that actually is evolving massively. I've always tried to put it into words, like how I'm feeling. If I get if my guides or my higher self's trying to tell me something, it comes through like it's like when you're trying to remember the name of a movie star, for example, and you're going, that, and then you get the name, and that name comes in. That's how it comes through. If I'm being told something, and I know the difference between my own thoughts and some thoughts that are being put in there. Some people can hear things, but for me, it's a sense. It's like, oh, someone's just put words in my head, and they are not mine. And I can say them and go, that's not me saying that. So that's how sometimes things like that come through.
Do you need to prepare, or does it just, as in, I guess with your healing sessions, there's an element of preparation, but what Jo was saying is, in life as it is, it can be freestyling if you want to put it that
definitely
way.
Have to prepare. And I can go into that. But so when things just come through as a feeling, when I'm driving, that's when things come through. Or when I go for, and I know if I'm being told I need to go for a walk, and that's that sense of, I really feel like I really want to go for a walk. It's like, okay, I'll go for a walk. And then as I go, stuff will come through, and I'll just get these visions maybe, or a sense that something's really good, or a sense that, I think one of my kids are going to need some healing. Like, I'll get this sense, I can't stop seeing their face, and it doesn't feel good, and I'll go, okay, I need to go and do a little remote session or do a check-in, make sure that they're
absolutely. I think the reason why I asked is I think it's so important for the listeners to understand that that it is different for everyone. We all hear different ways, and whatever's trying to come through, comes through in different ways. But some people might be getting it the same way as you, and assigning it to something else. And it's like, I think there's a lot more. I think the higher self is trying to communicate a lot more with a lot more beings throughout the last couple of years, because
Yeah,
something's
absolutely.
opened, like the veil's
Yes.
lifted and it's much more thinner than it ever has been. And for those people that are resonating with what Nikki's saying, you know, it's that might be something coming through. You know, it's like trust that it's something being told to you, or
Yeah.
I think, you know, I
Seek-
think for
seek-
myself too, it's like I would probably go, don't be silly, you know, that's something else. That's not your
Yes.
higher self or whatever, you know, it's like, and I'm learning now, no,
Yes.
slow down, you know, take a deep breath.
Yes, because I do get asked like, how do you know? Like I say, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
If there's an urgent thing coming through, I get that pressure on my chest. Actually, when I'm channeling like an ancestor, or if there's someone on the table and they have literally got someone who's passed over coming through, I feel that as pressure in the chest, and that's when I know, and I'll sense them out, like, okay, there's a father or something like coming through with a message. My guides or my angels, if I say something, and it rings true, you know how you get the goosebumps, and they say that's your angels telling it's true, I cry.
Yeah.
And I start crying. I'm going, I'm sorry, I'm crying, but it's just that they're telling me this, and when it's and it's all comes from love, right? So it's like I'm crying tears of joy and happiness, and I'm going, I'm sorry, they're just coming through, and they're just telling me something, and I've got this message. So it does come through.
It would be
in
hard
strong
not
ways.
to be in that space and to not feel that emotion come through.
It is emotionally,
Yeah.
and I go with it now. I don't stop it at all. I just let it come through. If I'm crying, I'm going, oh gosh, it's just so beautiful. This message has come through, and I can relay that message because I know it's come from the heart, and then they can trust too. It's come from a place of love.
Absolutely. So we've been now, 40, and you've been having these visions, and it's opening up to something that's happening, and then all of a sudden it's happening, so you're getting some
so through the kinesiology, that started opening you up as far as your energy and connecting to other people's energy, and then it started to go on from there, didn't it? Because you're talking about angels and guides.
Which wasn't actually when I studied kinesiology, because I come from being a remedial massage therapist, I was very structural. So in kinesiology, they teach you structural balance as well, like jaw balances, hip and knee, where you muscle test the muscles, and, you know, for sports person or anything. And I just thought, oh yeah, I'll run with that. That sounds like me. All the other girls were getting all so creative with the emotional side of things, and I'm going, how do they do that? That's not me at all. I'll just do the structural. Well, my higher self and my life path and my guides had a completely different plan. And I remember actually seeing a clairvoyant for the first time before I started kinesiology. I knew I wanted to study kinesiology, and I went to see her, and one of the first things she said, well, have you heard about kinesiology? I went, yes, I'm actually going to study it. She says, well, you need to go, once you leave here, you're going to find a school and you need to do it right now. And you're going to have your own healing modality. So I went, no, I'm not. That's not like me. I have to, you know, copy the book and do things methodically. I can't, I'm not. And then there's me in kinesiology learning it going, yeah, she's wrong. I'm not going to be doing that.
This is pretty powerful as it is. And I love it. I've got this concept and I'm going to run
and the
with
other
it.
girls, they didn't understand the structural stuff because I knew all the muscles anyway from being a massage therapist. They found that quite hard, and for me, I found it really easy. And then, you know, during practice, through the years of doing it, I think the first time I channeled my first own technique was when I was doing a usual technique on somebody, and this voice came through and said, take them back, take them back to when the time began. And so I did. I followed that. I didn't follow what was in the book. And I took them back, and I was being guided as I was holding their head and talking them through something. I took them back to the time where before all the trauma began, and I just asked them, I said, I want you to go back. Your soul knows a time when you were happy, for example. That's what we're working all before, you know, where you could express love. I'm going to ask you to go all the way back before this time and remember that. And it was just being guided. And there's lots and lots and lots of other kinesiologists and healers that all do the same thing anyway. They'll all resonate and go, oh yeah, we're all guided. But from someone who came from having to read each word for word and apply it that way, that was quite new for me. And it felt right, and it was really quite powerful, the outcome. And since then, my beautiful guide has been teaching me so much that I have developed my own healing modality, soul retrieval, going places, and that's where the time, closing timelines and accessing places and spaces and where parts of our soul has been lost or taken, and exploring these places and able to bring all the parts of the soul back. But then realizing that maybe the soul doesn't want to come back. It's actually got a contract to be in that place because there's a loved one there.
Wow.
And so I'm
so
having
much. There's so
I'm having to.
There's so much in here what you're saying. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this soul, aspects of the soul, and retrieving parts of the soul.
Okay.
So what happens there? Can you explain that to the listeners? Like, I always just envisioned a soul like just one,
Yes.
Body of energy
kind of thing. That's who we are. But do we split off and do we go to different places? And
that's my belief.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe because everything is energy, and like when you go to a bar or pub and you come back and you feel yucky, you've got parts of people's energy on you.
Yes.
So it's like, well, okay, if I've got their energy or their toxins, and I believe that you can kind of get that stickiness.
Like
and
their stuff.
Yeah, their stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, their energy toxins, their stuff.
Yes.
And so if parts of yourself can fragment, then yes, I know it. Again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not a scientist, but even a metaphysicist, to learn about, explain energy in that way. But what I feel and what I know from working and my own experiences is that if there is a trauma, for example, the soul can fragment. It can stay there because it might want to learn from that, or it's so traumatic it just can't get out of that, and then you're still evolving, your soul still carrying on through life, but part of yourself is kind of stuck there,
kind of like a loop.
Maybe like a loop, It's got some, or maybe that
is it an attachment to
can
it?
be attached, or it's still got charge because you part of yourself still wants to be there, so it hasn't let go. Because that it was so painful that I might need to hold on to that to remember not to go through that again. So part of your soul can perhaps attach to it, so it keeps that charge there. So you go through life, but that memory is still being activated and triggered. Especially when something similar comes along, you're not just experiencing emotions from that new trauma; it's remembering the old trauma because part of your soul's still there. So it's triggering. So it's double whammy.
So amazing.
And
so is this? I'm just like having
more and more.
Sorry.
No, that's beautiful.
So this is also kind of then. Let's add something as basic as the law of attraction. So if that aspect of the soul is still kind of in this trauma, then we're creating that in the time that we're in right now. In some aspect, not the same, but parts of that is still with us. Yeah. So that's in our kind of.
In your field, exactly. So everything is vibration, and you attract in life whatever is in your field, and that's the law basically, isn't it? So if there is a vibration, everything is energy, and every trauma, emotion, life experience is often stored in your energy field. And once it's stored in there, yes, it can attract it back in again because that's the vibration you're holding. So when you learn to transmute that, or bring that part of your soul back, or learn to let go, or go back and heal, what do I need to heal from that experience? What do I need to learn? How can I let go? And you might even have actually put hooks into that experience as well. And so you can learn to let go of those hooks, and then you let go of all those, transmute those vibrations, so you no longer attract that back into your life.
Because when you're talking about, like, say, the hooks, if you talk about people that you want to continue to be with in relationships and things like that, that explains a lot of that repeat lessons around love and control in relationship, and trying to achieve something but not actually getting through a certain point in a relationship. Those hooks around, but I wanted them to stay with me, or I wanted to keep them. And there can be soul agreements. Things.
Yes, exactly. And I deal a lot with that. I have a lot of people come through, and and the relationship's not going so great. And as I go in, I'm often taken to a time in a past life where there's some soul agreements and contracts as well.
Yes.
And so we have to go in and clear those. And so with the energy attachment too, so your soul can sometimes, like, it can fragment, and be stuck somewhere, but then you can have someone else attached to you as well. So I'll often find, because there's so many aspects to this.
I know.
I know, because the soul retrieval is so huge.
So
but I often find that I can have somebody on the table who has, and I know some of what I'm going to talk about is quite not easy to understand and comprehend to a lot of people.
Don't worry, we'll ask lots of questions.
Yes. So, and I have to be careful when I am working with my clients, because this is my language.
Yes.
And I have to just, be aware and go that that's not their language.
Yes.
And when I am doing the debrief at the end, I'm telling them what came up for them in the session. Can I, be really open and tell them everything, or can I just sort of sugarcoat it and just say, oh, you had this happen, and I've cleared that though.
Yes.
But yeah, so we can have people that are attached to us in a past life. So imagine if, let's say, a mother and child, and the mother died, but when that was happening, if the mother was unwell and the child made these unconscious agreements, like, I will always look after you, I'll always love you, I'll always look after you, because that child, I'll look after my mother, I've got to look after her. Sometimes those agreements, they don't know when to end.
Yes.
And so what I feel and what I believe with souls is that when we leave our body, I believe that we go to the light, and we go with our soul family.
Yeah.
And we tend to stay in those soul groups, but sometimes through trauma, our soul might resist going to the light, especially if you left someone behind.
Yeah.
And so the soul is stuck, what I call, like, in the void space or in another dimension. So
Yes.
the soul is still here, but it's still got all of its stuff. It's neither physical anymore, and it hasn't gone as like a true spirit to the light. It's kind of stuck around.
Is this what we'd look at as ghosts?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But more of like just in repeat life experiences.
Yeah, or the soul is still there. I think, again, there's different aspects of ghosts, but I don't know too much about them, like poltergeist and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I had like a child that came to me, and the uncle was sort of still attached. So I do soul retrievals also, where not only do I bring souls back, but I send souls to the light. And I can often find that somebody can come in with a soul attached, and that person is experiencing, or they have emotional imbalances, and that's because they have a soul attached.
Wow.
And so the emotions that they're experiencing are not theirs, they're actually somebody else's.
They're not even aware of that happening.
And they don't realise.
They're probably having these experiences that
anxiety.
Like, it doesn't feel like me.
Yes, yeah.
It really isn't them.
It isn't them. So especially people have anxiety as well. I mean, there's so many different areas of that, but I often find that someone's anxious, they're very open, they have other people's energy attached, and can have a soul attached to them as well, that we need to release and let go, and clear the soul contracts and agreements to let them go.
Wow.
So as a part of your awakening and moving into this area, did you experience this, like, with your guides, with your angels, or with someone who was there for you to help
was
you?
Someone helping you through this area, or were you able to see things yourself?
I actually didn't have any help. It was just through the clients that were coming through. I believe my guides were telling me were there to teach me. And so
beautiful.
they were,
because that's an incredible relationship, isn't it, of trust, when your clients come, when somehow they know you're there to help them with their leg, but actually it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So regardless of what they come in for, so being a kinesiologist, I'm muscle testing, and so I always say to all my clients, I have no say in what comes up in this session. I have no idea where it's going to go. You're going to do all the talking. I'm going to bypass your mind and your brain. I'm going to communicate directly with your soul. You've come in for this issue, whatever it might be. It could be pain, it could be emotion, it could be grief, and your soul's going to let me know where we need to go. And so so if soul retrieval comes up, that there is a soul attached, or The soul has fragmented, and sometimes through trauma the soul will just leave the body. It's too painful. The soul will fragment and it will just be lost, and we call back all parts of cells, and the shamans do that, and they call back parts of cells from the upper world, middle and lower, and it's so just from having people on the table and through muscle testing. So I'm guided by their own higher self that's telling me what to do, and then I've obviously got my guides and my higher self. So something will come through, and I might get an image or be told to do something, and I'm confirming with the muscle testing. So I'm actually confirming their higher self.
Oh, wow.
So soul retrieval did come up, or an aspect of soul retrieval, or clear a contract, or whatever it might be, clear a cord. I'm asking that client, is this the next thing to do? And making sure that it is. So I'm guided not just through kinesiology muscle testing anymore. I've got confirmation from my guides that I'm being shown as I'm working as well, and then that feels right. So I guess that the answer to that question is, did I have any guidance through that? It's just following the protocol as a kinesiologist, as I follow the protocol how I've been taught, but then being guided by these other techniques that have come through, which are now part of my protocol. I've written down part of it, and my guides guiding me and might be showing me something new. Sometimes at least once a week I have something new that I've not done before, and I'll muscle test and ask the person, is this the next thing to do? Is this the priority? Is it perfectly okay and safe to do? Yes, it is. Okay, and then we go and do it.
Expanding
constantly. Being, even this week I was just shown something completely new.
I love that, because look, Amanda and I have even been talking about this, just doing the podcast and sitting in front of people that are sharing their expansiveness, their expansion, their evolvement, their awareness, however that is. We're learning so much, and it's expanding us as well. It's just so
absolutely
interesting.
Yes.
It's
infinite.
It is all about connection, isn't it? And it's all about we can go and sit somewhere on our own and meditate, but I think,
and that's powerful and perfect in its own way.
But we seem to learn a lot more when we're sitting in a space with others and having that interaction. That the energy interaction and the.
Because listening to you speaking, I'm feeling that in so many places all through my body.
Really?
And I feel like I've got just like something wants to pop out of my neck. I don't know what it is. Grab the head, I don't know what it is. So it's, it's like exactly what you're saying. It's powerful. Like there's a resonancy, there's a frequency, there's a connection to what you're sharing and what you're bringing through, and who you are and what you have to share, and what you've explained is part of your work here on earth, isn't it? So
yes,
who you are.
I didn't know I was going to do this, and a lot of what I do as well as I clear, because I work with different energies. You've got the high vibrational ones and the lower ones, and I clear lower vibrational energies from people as well. Yeah. And that got quite big in itself. And I just said to, out there, I just went, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, please, I need a break, because it was becoming too much. I was clearing these negative entities, people feeling amazing, but it just became too much. And I said, I need a break. And funny enough, I did have a break. I noticed that all the clients coming through for the next week, I was going back to the traditional kinesiology techniques. And I was like, thanks, guys. Yeah. But then there it was. I was faced with it again. I went, okay, I clearly needed, this is what I'm here for. Yeah. And I know that I've realised that I'm strong. I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I can handle what comes through in my sessions, and some of them are really, especially with the dark energies that I'm working with. Yeah. I have now been taught and shown the safest way to clear them and remove them, like permanently, and I've been shown that.
And that's so amazing.
That's been the biggest thing that I've had to learn those, and I've asked, like, can I not do this? Can I be shown something? Can I do something else? And I've got these other friends who have, they've got the Mother Mary essence come through, and then I was like, it's not fair. Why did I get stuck with the entities? Why me? Yeah. But I've realised that my soul must know that from the past, or have that within me, that connection, and I'm fully supported, and that's what I do. And you just have to trust
Can we talk about that, because that's not talked about enough. I don't think I mean, when we talk about being aware and awake and conscious and evolving and all those things, we think of all the beautiful,
love and light,
love and light and all of that. But there has to be a balance in all things, and the balance of that is entities. And when
dark
I think,
energies,
when I think of that, I think of the devil, like straight away, and it terrifies me. Especially when you're in bed at night and it's dark and
the things that hide under your bed.
You've been sitting there saying, please, can someone come to me and talk to me? And then at 3 a.m. in the morning you wake up, not now. Please don't come now. I don't want anyone, even if you're nice. Please don't come to me now. Because it's like you're in a whole different space. Yeah. But can you talk about that? Like, what does it feel like? Is it you can
because I had like a vision of you standing there like with a sword almost, and
I've got one. And I'm bringing my dragons.
Just for the listeners, because you can't see Nikki, but she's petite. It's so cute.
Big eyes.
Picturing this warrior woman, this little warrior woman.
Oh, it's so funny. She said, I had a client this week and she came in and she said, because she sent so many people to me, and she said she actually asked them, she said, what was your first impression of Nikki? What did you think that she was going to look like compared to what she looked like? And they said she doesn't look anything like I expected her to look like. So I said, what have you been telling them? That's that side of things. Look, everything is energy, and not to be afraid of it. Some people go into real fear. If I was to say, had an entity attachment, that's why I've got to be careful. I always say people, how open are you to this kind of work? And fully open. And there you go, and tell them they've got entity attachments, and you can see the look on their faces. And so that's why they sometimes they hear maybe they need to be released, maybe they're lost. This is this world is so huge, this multiverse, it's so massive, and there are other planets that we're supposed to be doing work with, right? Trade with them, the Galactic Federation of Light. If if you've heard of that, and they say that we will be handed back to the Galactic Federation of Light, and we'll be doing intergalactic trade with these these benevolent beings.
I have a lightness of being when you say that. I feel like I'm floating as soon as you say that. So I've got some. I know I've got some connection to. Like I let's just
believe you
use
have
the word aliens, but there's
other
millions
beings.
and thousands of different tribes out there.
Yes,
let's just say.
Yes, there are, and the ones that we familiar with, people like light workers or channelers will talk about the Palladians and the Syrians and the Lyrians and the the whatnots, and they're the ones that are closest to us right now, and they've been helping us for eons, haven't they, to evolve and ascend as we're talking about ascension, as this earth moves into there's more love and more light. And they've been assisting with that, and with that the negative lower vibrational frequencies will shift off this earth. So what they say is that this earth has been occupied for thousands and thousands of years, and being controlled. And so as we move into...
Is this like reptilians and stuff like that?
If you want to go there, maybe.
Okay, so listeners, Joe's face just about exploded then with excitement.
I'm not going to confirm anything, okay? I'm not labelled, but if that's what you want to... it's... I just, we've been occupied, and... a lot of our conditioning and beliefs have come from that darker energy, and if you go back to Lemuria, the ancient civilizations where it was all love, light and crystals, and that was that civilization there was I believe is where we're going back to. But it got dark. We were occupied, I believe. They kind of took over and conditioned us, and now it's time to take the earth back. And so I believe that with these galactic races, they're here to assist us to do that. And that's that the ground crew that I believe that I'm ground crew, that I believe, like you, Joe, that I've come from. Arcturian keeps coming up. They're incredible, powerful healers. And I believe that I've come from another planet, if you will, and I've come down onto this earth to assist with the ascension, because I have within my DNA, my soul's memory, the healing abilities and of other races and other civilizations, and even Lemura, because I really resonate with that as well. So I believe I have that within my being, and that's what I'm being shown through my healing, is that I'm remembering how to become that healer again, and that's my part here. And
The
so
light being.
and the low vibrational energies are, you know, a lot of us light workers are here to assist, to raise the vibration, to help assist with that removal of those lower frequencies. And sometimes they've got to be done manually, and that's just what's come through for me, is that, and there's different varieties of them as well, not the same. Demons, I mean, I have had incidences where I have removed something that felt like a demon, and it was really hard to remove. And then every day, sometimes I literally flick them off, you know, someone's got something attached, and you know, and it's just a being that's perhaps is, you know, low vibrational, it's got lost, and I'm being shown every day, and I'm always asking, show me a better way to remove them, because they don't all go the same way. Some were transmuted, some are asked to go back, to return to where they came from. So I'm working different energies every day, and different ways of removing them.
And so when you talk about being on the ground crew, I mean, that's obviously a pretty important team that we just need so much to move these dark energies that have, you know, as you said, the last couple of years, we've just all got a big awakening to their presence and where it's all manifesting through. How would you describe ascension then? Because people often think of the word ascension as meaning like going to heaven or lifting to the angels.
Exactly. Going to paradise. That's it. We're ascending. So, you know, if you've heard about, you know, third dimension, and we're moving through to the fifth dimensional frequency. It's a frequency, and they say that in the higher frequencies we are more love, more light, we have more ability to have telepathy and tap into our gifts, and so the low vibrational 3D earth, which is what we have been, and now we're moving through ascension. So as these frequencies that we're receiving into our planet every day, they are to raise the frequency of this earth to it literally is a frequency. And they talk about activating the new earth grid. You know, they say that there's grids within the earth, the crystalline grids, and they're all being activated. And we have energy stations throughout the whole earth, like our own chakras is energy centers. They're all being activated as well and coming online. I mean, there are grid workers out there who are better equipped to talk about this than I am, and they can go into great depth about that work, because they literally work on that every day. So my awareness probably isn't as great as them, but I still have a basic understanding of it. So ascension for me is, and as we're evolving as well, our bodies are literally ascending as we receive these frequencies into our body. They talk about going from carbon back to crystalline, which is what they believe when the earth was forming, the crystals formed like a frequency, and our physical bodies were formed in the energy field of those crystals. So the first physical body apparently was very crystalline, and then it became dense. So we're going back to our crystalline form.
I've been hearing a lot around the alchemist, or alchemy, around metals and crystals and how important they are as part of the ascension process. Very important.
I think they're definitely coming online. I mean, I've always loved crystals, but not to the point where I've used them in my healings, but I'm being really drawn to them now too. I'm thinking that crystals are, you know, coming back online again.
Well, they're all energy, aren't they? They all hold energy.
They all do hold energy,
What you were just saying. What you were just saying about the grids and everything. It's all energy, and it's all...
Yes.
And we're energy. So
we're energy.
It's all activating, you know, and that's when we start to feel things, and we are being activated to open our gifts, and that's what's so beautiful about what you're saying, because you've done all this on your own kind of thing. I mean, the kinesiology has been the doorway for you to open up and walk into this area, but everything that you're telling us about is something that you've just walked and opened and walked and opened and just been listening and learning yourself, remembering.
And I do wonder, because there's some beautiful mystery schools out there, and I think about them and go, okay, maybe I'll go and do a mystery school, learning some things, because I love learning. And I'm surprised in my own self in the last 2 years that I haven't learned anything new. And so when I tap in, it's like so there's a guide that I've got called Melchizedek, and one day I did do this workshop. It was a 1-day workshop, and as I walked in, the lady said, who is that person standing behind you? You've come in with a really big, powerful man behind you. And I went, is it Melchizedek? And she went, yes, it is. I think I started to cry. And she said, did you know Melchizedek actually is the overseer of this course that you're doing, and he's the overseer of all the mystery schools around the earth.
No.
Yes. And so he guided me to that.
Wow.
I know. And I went, he's like, okay, he's gonna just teach me and see how much I can learn by myself. And even now when I tap into it, I don't know why, but I'm to learn this through him first. And then when that's done, then I can go and learn more. But it's also coming through that I'm being told that I'm going to write this down as a book or a manual or something once I've got everything that I need to know.
Because that's like unfiltered in a way, isn't it? Really,
it
is direct from source.
Yes. It is. But when I I hear other healers talking, and not to compare, but I look up to them so much and go, wow, they've got such incredible knowledge. Like, I wish I knew all of that, but it's okay. Like, I just go, you know what, Nick, it's what you've got and what you do is where you are and you're meant to be right now, and that's perfectly okay with what you're doing. And maybe if I did learn those things, it might take away from what I'm being told to focus on right now with the things that I'm learning every day and being told.
Well, I think that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening, is that there's a lot of people that I speak to that have stopped reading books, that they used to watch a certain person on YouTube or whatever because they got and they've stopped that, and they're really listening to their own essence or whatever it is.
Yes.
It's like, because that's what's needed right now. We need everybody to step into their own essence, and it's beautiful and powerful in that way on its own. It's not about looking to somebody else and comparing. I mean, we can work together, and we can I can go and have a session with you, and you can open me up into areas that I've never been into before, and we can interweave.
Well, that enhances, because what I'm also hearing Nikki say is that what you were talking about, the crystals and those energy grids, that's actually what you're doing with people's bodies, isn't it? With the kinesiology and the energy fields, and you're kind of working with those energy grids or those grids in people on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual light areas.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing in frequencies. Yeah. So with the crystal grids, I'm aware that they're there, and I'll tap into them. But what I'm being shown is I'm bringing in like a Reiki energy. If somebody's got like a physical thing actually happening in their body with virus or bacteria, I've learnt to tap into, like with the healers, I've learnt to tap into the frequency and call the frequency in. So I'm using specific frequencies on the body. So I'll find something through muscle testing, whether it's an emotion, whether it's someone else's toxins, whether it's a physical virus or bacteria, and I'm just calling in that energy and guiding it to that person. Once I find it where it is, I can physically feel it dismantling and dissolving and transmuting from the body. So I'm using these frequencies every day, and I can literally feel it. And I say to my clients, you'll hear me doing these big deep breaths, just ignore me, because as I can feel things moving out the body, it catches me like this and I blow it out. And it's a bit noisy, and I just say, just ignore me. That's what I do for the whole set. That's how I know something's moving from you. So if I find something, if I've tapped into you, you've got something attached to you, and I'll go, okay, can we clear it? And I feel nothing, I go, oh, okay, maybe there's a contract there, or maybe there's something, and then I feel it moving, and I'll deep breath and release it, go, okay, we've got it. So that's how I feel things coming and moving out of the body.
There's a beautiful language
beautiful.
It's like your own language, isn't it? That
it's Nikki's essence, isn't it?
Yes.
It's no one else's. It's so beautiful, and that's, I think, what we've been finding with all the women that have been coming in. Everybody's got their own essence.
Yeah.
That's the only way to put it.
It is. And
Yeah.
going back to what you said, Joe, as well, like people not reading or following anymore, and they're tapping into their own true selves. And I think that's a lot of the layers through this ascension, through the light codes that are coming into our body. And we're dismantling those old belief systems and those old programs so that people can actually tap into their true self, and they can start listening and start feeling. And that's with these lights that are coming in. And as you're saying, people are starting to go, oh, I feel like, that doesn't relate to me anymore. That's exactly what's happening. These light codes are activating our old dormant DNA, activating us. And we're just learning to trust in yourself and tapping and going, no, I'm going to start following my own intuition here.
Yeah.
And it's calling in the I am, and it's something that I've started to do at the beginning of every session now, and even the beginning of every day for me, is calling in the I am presence, which is I tapped into it as being our own ancestral self.
Right.
It's your essence, your true essence that's been around since the beginning of your time, that's always there to guide you. It's been through every single story, through every single life experience you've ever had. It's always been there to nurture and guide you, and it doesn't get attached to the stories. It's the observer, the watcher. So if ever there's anything traumatic or challenging happening, call in the I am presence, your own ancestral self, your very essence of your highest of high self.
Wow.
And you ask to be shown and guide me. How do I navigate through this experience? And it's through being the observer and the watcher, and you don't get entangled in it, and therefore you don't get enmeshed in all of the energy of that story. And it's really powerful to tap into that.
We're just going to stop
fully
right there.
It's like, I can feel.
And I've been doing that to my clients on the table, like as a channel in the beginning, bringing that essence in, and then, because you know how we say, let's in as a preparation for your day, let's connect to the earth and bring the earth's energies in, or connect to your heart, and then connect to the stars and the moon, great central sun. I do that, but I always found it quite hard, and I'd have to spend at least half an hour to get that connection. But now when I bring in the I am essence of myself, and I feel my ancestral self coming in, and I feel that love, and I anchor it in my heart, and then I asked to connect to the earth, Mother Earth, Gaia, Pachamama, whatever you want to call her, feel her frequency, her consciousness, and I can actually feel her coming in as a consciousness. And then you can bring in all of the medicine of her, the plant kingdom, the crystal kingdom, and the animals, and you can feel, and then you can ask. Might not know which plant, flower, or waters that you need. You just call it in and just ask that you use or you absorb whatever frequency of that earth medicine that you need. So there we go. And then once you do that, then you can connect to the sun, the moon, and the stars, and your cosmic self. And then you connect to your cosmic self.
I'm having a moment.
And then when you do that, because it's probably happening to you right now as we're saying
is,
it, right?
oh,
Yeah,
it's
you're going
feel
it.
something,
And that's your ancestral self that's connected to your angels and your masters, and you're connected to the planets and wherever you're from, and you connect there, and then you bring that down, and then you combine the two. You've got the earth frequency, the cosmic frequency, and then you can bring that in, anchor it in your heart, and expand it all the way out into your field, and out into your life, your home, wherever it needs to go. There we go. Someone's having a shift.
That breath, that's the magic breath, isn't it? Yeah. Wow, that was a moment.
Oh, like seriously, I felt like I was in session, but there was three of us in the room.
Yeah, ceremony. It was
three, I think.
another dimension. You just took us to another dimension. That was so. Yeah, we want to stay in that space, but we're gonna.
We need
Yeah,
to
I didn't know what was going to happen. To be honest with you, you just never know what's going to happen or what I'm being guided to do or say. But I did feel, while I was explaining that, I was like, oh, actually, these girls are having a little shift here. Okay, this one's for you.
It was so amazing, like literally, tears were flowing.
Absolutely, opening. And so, what's come up is that shift in dimension with what you just shared with us. Then, like, I mean, that's a silly way to say it. I understand that, but. The talk the last few years, like even on radio stations and things like that, they've been talking about multiverses, universes, multiple universes happening at the same time, and and it's kind of been a little bit of chit chat rather than any concept of what that really means, and possibly from the space exploration point of view, I've been listening to it, and it's kind of made me quite curious, but having you in our company today, that density of the third dimension and the fifth dimension, the different energy fields that you're working in and working across. How would you kind of explain that to our listeners?
Or and even better, how do you play in there?
Like, how do I play in it? Yeah. So as I said, like I haven't explored or gone to learn about it. It's just a feeling. Everything for me is a feeling, and if something comes into my field that I resonate with, then I go, well, okay, yes, this feels right. It must be. And even information coming my way, like learning about the earth being a 3D earth, and then and then ascending through the fourth to the fifth dimension. I read that somewhere and I went, oh well, that sounds right. that's about right. Typical me, I don't go and question. I'm a feeler, I always have been, but I went, yep, that sounds right. My soul resonates with that. And so the 3D earth, can be quite dense, and so like a lot of these younger children coming through, all these kids that are coming through, and I've got one of my daughter, a massive expansive consciousness, but it's like these children already have a higher frequency. They have come from a higher frequency, and they on this earth, and they're finding the earth very dense, because it's 3D, as I talk about, back in the mirror, everything was high frequency, and then it's lowered its frequency, and we've got this 3D earth, but we're ascending with these light codes that are ascending to a higher frequency, which is more love, more light, more joy, more happiness, and the lower, denser energies of greed or anger, resentment, that's a lower frequency. So we very much have that on this planet at the moment, but the more we ascend, the more light that's coming through. And these star children that are coming through hold a high vibration, so they're here to assist with the frequency ascension of this planet too. That's their purpose. And some people say to me, I don't know what my purpose is, but they know that they are very awake. And I say, it's you to hold the light. Just holding the light, and you can see these people, they're just so beautiful. They have a light around them, but they don't really work with the energy, but they're just here to hold the light, and so that this earth can ascend and move through these lower frequencies. And the more that we ascend, the more this love, light and joy and grace and happiness, and and our lives become more abundant, and the lower frequencies and the lower will just be no more as we ascend and shift. Some people think there's going to be some big thing that's going to happen that's going to propel us. Maybe, I don't know, but I just know that I feel from my soul that we are ascending, and my premonition is I can see light, and I can see the joy, and I can I see it happening and feel it. So I trust in that, and I know that's where I'm going. I hope everyone's coming along with me. But it hasn't been easy navigating. We'll talk about the 3D, and then people have awoken, and they've get a taste of like fifth dimensional frequencies, which is what you get when you go down to the creek, or you go hang around in nature. Nature, Mother Earth, is a high frequency. That's why people need to go there and go and ground their energies and raise their vibrational frequency. If ever you're feeling a bit low, you go hang out in nature, makes you feel good.
Yes, absolutely.
And so some people do say, oh wow, I'm tapped in, I've awoken, I've connected to my high self now, I'm fully awake, it feels amazing, but now I still have to deal with this, with things that I don't want to deal with anymore. How do you deal with that? Housework, taking the kids to school, going to shopping centres, dentists, and that's okay. We are in that. We have all those frequencies here at the moment, and so yes, you'll have one foot in 3D because you've got to go and do your shopping, and then the other foot, you want to step into that sense of I just want to tap into myself, and I want to go and hang out with people that are like me, and just be in nature and play with these energies and play with frequency and sit in meditation. That's okay.
So it's a bit of a drug in a way, isn't it? So that's the feeling that you have in that space. You want to keep it that way. You want to stay in that vibration and frequency.
Exactly.
Yeah,
when
you do.
You're playing in that 3D world, you want to be able to take that feeling.
Yes.
When I say feeling, you want to take that feeling that you know is possible with you into those spaces.
And you can.
Yeah. You can.
You absolutely can. So I think that, at first, there are times where I've gone, say, to the supermarket and it felt really dense, and I've gone, I don't like this feeling. Why can't I be in that space and take that with me? And I've played around it with some friends, and we've gone to dinner, and they are light workers like me. We're sat there and they've gone, do you feel like we're in a bubble? Like we don't really, actually not really here. And that's what it felt like. It felt like we were in this fifth dimensional frequency bubble that had gone to the restaurant, and everything around us was literally like a different dimension. That's how it felt. So that's interesting to play around with as well. Is put yourself in that bubble and take that bubble with you.
Absolutely. I want to just have a quick chat about the children, because I think this is huge for a lot of people that have kids that have high frequencies, and they're trying to understand it, and it's possibly like walking through really thick mud for these kids, because they're feeling a lot more, but they're living in this world to be honest, a little bit fucked up, and it's like
not necessarily able to function in everyday.
They don't understand it.
They don't understand it. How could a parent, support them, or do you have any little tips? It's tricky.
It is really hard, because I've got one of those, and she just wants to be normal though. She just wants to be a normal kid at school. And just be normal. And there are some kids that just don't function, don't want to go to school, because they don't resonate with those systems, because the systems are so old and archaic. My daughter has said to me things like, I don't understand this world. We're just like tiny specks of ants, like an ant on a planet. What's the purpose? And in those moments, I can feel that she's kind of out of her body and tapping into something else. And so to ground is ground, get your kids out into nature. As much as possible.
It's so powerful.
And they're it is.
We don't put enough significance on that.
And most of these younger kids coming through actually are guiding the parents. They are already naturally connected to crystals. And the parents will say, well, my child just wants crystals, or just asked to go and hang out in nature. You'll find, because they're such a high frequency, because they're so ancient, they have all the wisdom in them that the parents maybe don't have, that the children will actually do the guiding. Let them, not to constrain them too much, because they've already come into this world where there is too much constraint and structure, and their energy and soul doesn't resonate with it. And so you've obviously got to have boundaries, but just try and be aware of, am I putting too much constraint and structure into this child's life? Because they're going to be fighting against that system, and then they're going to fight against a system at home if I have that. So finding their own
systems going on,
too many systems.
Anyway.
If they've got to come home, do homework. I mean, I honestly, but that's it's to each own parent to navigate through that. But obviously having boundaries. I mean, there's some who've gone the complete opposite, and they've let their child do absolutely anything they want. And I don't think that that's particularly teaching them the right way either. But just have that awareness that that child is not being naughty, that they're a higher frequency, their consciousness is more expansive than I'd say our parents, and it's okay that we don't understand that. That's absolutely okay, and maybe let them guide you, and just be more empathetic and listen to them. And
I think the listening is a big thing, isn't it? Because sometimes what they're saying, if we're not listening to them, we're hearing it with our own
through our own lens, aren't
filter,
we? Really, and our own filter. Just quickly too, just when you say about their higher frequencies and they're expansive, they're quite expansive. So in that, you're talking about that they're picking up on a lot more energy than the average person, aren't they?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So they're not only picking up on the family's energy, but then they're picking up on the school and
they come home exhausted. Absolutely.
So, a great way. I mean, for these days, we live in such a tech world. Where they've got phones and all that. Some kids really that's not great for them either, is it? These type of children.
Exactly,
Yeah.
very sensitive to that. That's where the crystals are really great, you know, and put crystals in the rooms. Fluorite is great at extracting EMFs from the body, and also it helps to balance the mind as well. It's a good mind one. I used to put a crystal, a fluorite crystal on my daughter's forehead at night to help her calm her mind down and go to sleep, or even on the feet to draw it out.
Beautiful.
That's really powerful as well. So and again, like, take your kids to a crystal shop and ask them to choose crystals, because they'll be drawn to the right ones as well. Definitely use crystals in that sense, and the grounding. But I believe, though, that with this ascension and what I've seen, and I know things seem, there's a lot of people out there that you can't see the future as being very positive, right? They're going, oh, it's so fucked up, 5G. This is coming from me, and this is coming from spirit, but I've seen a different future. I've been shown that we're going back to Lemuria, the state of the civilizations in Lemuria. We're going back to our crystalline cells. There is apparently technology available to use right now that is harmless, and we will be using that at some time in the future.
I believe that too.
We do have to protect our kids now from the 5G, etc. But if you're looking ahead and going, oh whoa, you know, what my child's grandchildren, etc., I say don't fear. I firmly believe, and with the quickening that's happening, the speeding up of this ascension is happening so quickly, it's in the very near future. It really, I don't believe we're going to get to that state where it's all a loss.
Because my feeling about a lot of things, I mean, there's some quite terrible things physically happening, but a lot of the media talk that is there that holds us mentally in a space of fear and a space of illusion and negativity, disconnecting from that, or you know, if you really tap into yourself, you don't feel, I don't feel that, like I really resonate with what you're saying, like that feeling that everything's going to be okay. There's a part of me that just goes, but what about this, but what about that, blah blah, you know, but I know that's just that rhetoric, that voice that is a part of the 3D, what I would connect with the 3D. When I really feel into my heart, I get a feeling of it's all going to be okay.
Amazing. So you get that good feeling, and
and
that's
listening to you, I really feel that feeling in my heart.
Absolutely.
And that little thing going, but what if, and you know that's the logic mind. It's also been programmed and conditioned as well, and that's when you bring in that I am presence, your highest of high self, and then when you say you feel it here, that everything feels like it's going to be here, that's what you have to trust. That is the truth. When you feel it here, and you get the little sense of joy, and you go, oh yeah, you can't take that away. That's coming. That's coming.
Just on that, you reminded me. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
The I am. So what do you do there? Not that like we talk about everybody's essence and the way they do things is different, but what do you do? Is it some kind of like little thing you do in the morning? Or is it just calling in I am? What is it that you do?
That I do. I guess people do it, you know, in their own way. But for me, I will just start off by just stating it and say that I now call in my I am. Excuse me. And when I started playing around with it, I'd call in the I am, because I heard about it and thought, okay, this sounds good, or resonate. I'll call in the I am, call in the I am presence. And then it just rolled on from there. And then I just went, okay, I'm calling in it's my highest of highest self. It's the self that has been my eternal soul. And that was what was coming through. It's my eternal soul that contains all the wisdom and the knowledge, because we are from the stars. So it's got all of that information there, of the earth. It's got that information. So it contains everything. So I just ask, and I call in the I am presence. And then it came through to me that, oh, this is my own ancestor. I'm going to use that word too. I now call on, I call in my ancestral self, and that felt right to me. So it's whatever feels right to you. You might play with the I am, and you might come up with something else for yourself. Whatever the more you work with it, you'll just feel into it, and then you'll just roll with it, and you'll go, okay, I'm going to call in my ancestral self, or my ancient self, or my.
So basically, in a way, it's a connection, and it's a clearing every day, isn't it? From the 3D entanglements and connecting through that into the very beginning of your essence, as you explained so beautifully before with that.
Yeah, to start with that, it brings you into alignment, you know, where you might have been a bit frazzled or fragmented and you've had a hectic morning and your head's, you know, half at the school and half with hubby or whatever, you know. So you bring yourself in completely back into alignment with yourself. And you can even say, I now call back all parts of self and only parts of self.
Yes.
Because I've done that before, called back my part of self, and I brought back part of someone else's self. And I went, oh, that doesn't feel very good. So now I call back all parts of self and only parts of self through the light into wholeness and oneness.
Okay.
Call it through the light. So if you can call back parts of yourself, you can imagine, you know, I see this, you know what a flower sphere? You know what the flower of life looks like?
Yes.
This is like a sphere of flower of life.
Yeah,
and I put that around me and my clients or wherever I'm working.
Yes.
And light can come through and density can leave. So when if you call anything in, imagine like a sphere if that works for you. But I just started seeing it as the flower of life pattern. I went, oh, that's new, that's great. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it's white. To protect you. Yeah.
So you're quite a visual person as well.
I have become. Didn't used to be. Yeah, that third eye is really starting to open up a lot. Yes. And I think, as you were saying, with the veil that's lifting, and we're all starting to see more. I'm starting to see more as well.
Yeah. And it's trusting, isn't it? It's like, and I have this conversation with my hubby a lot. How we doubt our knowingness so much, you know, and it's like we just can't do that anymore. It's just like if you think something was there, something was there.
Something's there.
You know, if you think you heard something, yes, you heard something. It's like this, and I always just talking about the negative entities too. It's like I think they're around us anyway, whether we want to look at them as demons or whatever, or it's just something telling us we're not good enough. That's a negative energy right there in itself. You know, it's like we have these negative entities around that want to take us out all the time. They're trying to get us off track. They're trying to take us away from believing and trusting and resonating. So they're around us already. You know, there's nothing. It's not. Yeah,
they've always been here. No, exactly. They've always been here. Yeah. You just haven't been aware of it.
Absolutely.
And you've been going on through your life quite happily. Yes. Not knowing. So it's nothing scary. So if it comes up, it's just like, okay, well, actually, maybe we can move this one, you know, and move it off. But it's always been there, and you've been fine. Yeah. You know, it's not going to harm you. It's lowering your frequency. Yes. Yeah, it's like taking a drug that lowers your frequency, right? Yes. Yeah, that's all it's doing. It's just trying to lower your field and stopping you from tapping in and ascending. And you know, as we raise our frequency and we play with more things that are love and light and hang out in nature and you know, use our own thought and vibration to raise our vibration, then we raise our vibration enough that these energies with that timeline shift can no longer coexist anyway. You know. Yeah,
that's what I love. And I've also I heard this recently, and it really touched me when somebody said that none of us have truly felt what real love is. And I even got a little emotional saying that. Like, you know, where we're headed, no one has felt what true love is. Yeah, you know, and it's and it's like I felt the essence of that, and you know, I felt it in my body, like fully. Like we just don't know what love is yet.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's that feeling, you know, when I felt that something really amazing is going to happen. It was like, it lifted me so much. Yeah. You know, maybe we're just moving towards that love.
Yeah. And not only for ourselves, but for others, for everything. You know, plants, animals, people, everything. To feel that immense amount of love and care for all things.
Yeah, imagine how the world would be if we all just had nothing but unconditional love for everything.
For everything.
What bliss.
Yeah, and that's where we're going.
Yeah.
And that's going to be amazing.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
And is that part of the Path to Wellness, which is your website now, feeling that movement, the Path to Oneness?
Path to Oneness, yes. Yeah, so that came through because I wanted to change my logo and then, that just came through. It was this oneness, this unity, and I felt that as a kinesiologist, I was treating people's unwellness, but I don't want to talk about, so much. We're going to move away that we won't be unwell, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
So I don't need to put wellness in there, because we're all going to be well, and moving away from healing illnesses. Oh my God.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it.
Because my mum has had cancer the last year, and her sister, my beautiful auntie, has been into exploring spiritual realms for many years, and they have wonderful conversations, and they've been talking a lot about the med beds and the technology, as you just said before, that's going to be available to everyone, and no one will be sick.
Yeah.
And there will be technology there to enable people to heal. And been very excited about the portals that are opening at this time, have been opening in things which are part of that move from the dimensions, into 4D, and basically talking about lightning of frequency. It's a very exciting time for people who are a little bit tapped in, or a little bit aware, or very tapped in. You're working really fully in that area, and enabling people to come into that space as well, working with their frequency and their light energy and their awareness of self. Does that kind of like just sometimes take your breath away, or do you feel like it's just very natural and very real, and it's a part of your work each day, like who you are, like?
Yeah, I think that because I don't overthink things, and I think that was meant to be. Yeah. Because I've often thought, if I was an overthinker, would I even be doing what I'm doing now? So things come in, and I just accept it as it is. But then I definitely do have my moments where I just go, what the hell? What? This is like a movie. And I definitely have those moments which are quite funny.
Because seeing that technology and having that awareness around.
Yeah, it's almost like that technology is in you.
Yeah, you're part of it.
Well, it's interesting because I sensed that I was, using these different frequencies to heal when somebody's got something that I need to clear from them or transmute. I'm using different frequencies. And then I read through, I think it's the Galactic Federation of Light. I'm like, get messages and emails from them, and they said something about the med beds on there, and they said that there are people on this planet right now that are already using these frequencies and have learned how to tap into them, and they're using them, as healers. And after I read that was really great confirmation for me too, because I just went, what actually am I doing here, and how am I doing this? How am I healing some of the things that I'm healing in people, and having, people literally heal, feeling better. And I don't know. I'm just doing my thing. I'm just muscle testing, and I've got this guidance, and this is the next thing to do. Is like, we're going to transmute this, and I'm going to call this energy in. But I definitely had an awareness that there was something bigger. That I was working with, but maybe for me to go and explore it was too big. To understand. So it was just easier for me just to keep working with it and just accept it, and it is just what it is. Do you know what I mean? But then I'll read, everything comes to me in divine timing and when I'm meant to read it, because I did start to question at some stage. I was like, is there anyone else out there doing what I'm doing in my vicinity, or can I go and talk to somebody and we can swap ideas, and maybe, because I have been working alone. I haven't gone anywhere to learn or to cross-reference with anybody, and then I get these messages through, and that was enough. I was like, oh, okay, great. So you
asked, it was given.
And then my friend had the healing, and I played around with that, and I just went, we worked out that the healing is already there. Those frequencies are just here. It's just a matter of using, I guess, my mind and ability to tap into them and bring them in. And the med beds are of the same frequency.
That makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Because I was having flashbacks to David Bowie and that song of, if Major Tom, if they knew, it would blow their minds. it's like, because it's a very expansive area, isn't it? And it's
it is.
To work with out here
Yeah.
and bring it through and infuse it, if you want to put, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the right word,
Yeah.
you know, to have it all come through in one moment. But those little confirmations along the way of, because you're trusting what you're doing, you're acting on what you're knowing, what you're receiving, what you're listening to, what you're translating, what you're creating.
Yeah.
It's actually becoming real every minute, every day, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not
and that
just
makes
one
it
day you
real.
do this and the next day you do that. It's,
It's all, it's every day. And those little things like that, when I get that confirmation, that makes it more real for me and trusting. But you know what? I feel like I'm only using 1%, not even actually 1% of what is truly available. And as we ascend more into the next higher frequency, then we'll have more available to us. And it'll be like a ladder, you know, as you go up, there's more to find. Just on this rung that I'm at right now, this is what I'm doing, and this is for right now, you know. And they say that there's the higher vibrational, say some of we talked about galactics, so is it like, I can't remember the name of them, but they're like 12th ray, and their frequency is too high to actually come anywhere near our planet, because it's too big, their frequency, but they you know, use other means to communicate with us. So this is really small fry, I believe, compared to what we've got coming and what we can tap into.
I reckon that's actually a beautiful way
absolutely
to end
magnificent.
it.
Yes, okay.
Perfect. Look out for what's next.
Not
next
me,
episode.
but with this,
What's
the next
available?
rung, that as humans, as we evolve, and then we up to the next rung and see what's up the next rung, and to play around with. And
it's so exciting.
yes, it is.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Nikki.
you're welcome.
Literally blew my mind today.
I had no idea what we were going to talk about, so thank you.
Oh, it's magic.
beautiful, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
it really feels like we went literally somewhere.
Yes. So amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Your website is A Path to Wellness.
At the moment.
At the moment.
Yes.
We'll be
Soon to
changing.
be
Yes.
Path to Oneness.
Instagram handle is Path to Wellness as well.
Yes.
And I will leave Nikki's details on the bottom of the podcast. But thank you so much once again.
You're welcome, beautiful ladies. It was been
Such a
amazing.
beautiful joy.
Thank you. Thank you.
For listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We will see you next week with a new guest, and we look forward to sharing with you an awakening. There's a link in our show notes for info regarding our guest, and a special blissful thank you to Kinesiology, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
Sorry, I don't want to stop it.
No,
But I have
that's
to
a good
stop
place to
it.
stop it because we've got there. No, well, that's 56
Nikki,
minutes.
this is freaking amazing.
It's beautiful.
seriously.
You know, I wrote some things down this morning, what I was going to say, and none of it actually did come up.
I told you, it's like spirit just leads.
You
It's like
because you've actually got beings here that I knew before I came. I was told when I came, don't worry, the guides that you've got in this room are going to guide you through it.
Yeah, because we're trying to anchor it to the thing, but it's more than the thing. It's It's better just to.
I
you
was told
can-
that when I hear that, it will just come through with the beings that you guys have got here, you brought with you, because you're meant to be doing this. This is something that you come up with, but you didn't come up with. You were told to do this because the power of what you're doing here is we are all soul groups. There's 500 soul groups on this planet. We're all coming together, and we're all connected. And I know that you guys are, part of part of the same soul group. And so what I'm channeling now is that this was set up. You were set up, they're saying. My guys are quite funny. They can be quite. Yes, thank you. They set you up. They said because you're activating by doing this. You're activating what we're talking about.
and you know what's so funny?
You are assisting with the ascension right now, just through this by bringing all of this in.
And
You're
we've
part
been
of it, so
talking
thank
about
you.
this, but you know
Thank
what we've
you.
been saying?
Thank you. That's beautiful for you to bring to light.
Well, that's just what came through. And I knew it was in the car, and they just said, "It's going to be fine. They've got guys there."
And I keep after every podcast.
podcast, I keep saying to Amanda, there's somewhere we're not going.
Yeah.
I keep saying to her, with the women, there was always somewhere we didn't go, and I felt like we've fucking gone there today.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And there's so much more.
Yes.
But I know that it's
no,
not,
I want to
know,
keep going.
yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to stop it because I felt like you would let you
But I
somewhere
don't
else.
stop it there and just like keep because what you're saying like exactly what the heart has like we both feel so amazing after every podcast and every moment with people and so honoured with the experience.
This is being anchored into the New Earth grid. That's what they're saying. This what you're doing here is being anchored into the grid. So that you're massively activating right now. You know, you're working as light workers right now with this sort of being expanded. It's the same as that when expansion. You're expanding. You've expanded what I've got inside me. You've expanded it. Today, as an activation, you are using this as an activation tool to activate the essence of everyone that's coming through and anchoring it straight into the new earth, especially with the post-eclipse. Energy goes on for like another 2 weeks after or something, and that's where it's most potent. So it's not an accident that you're doing it at this time. You're doing it within these energies.